Hey everybody, great to see you. Thanks for stopping in. It is that time again. I got to my Q&A recap video. I got about 25-ish, somewhere right around there at this time. What it is I send these little index cards with questions on it when I send out my cards to hopefully get autographed by various athletes. If I'm lucky, I'll get my card back signed, and if I'm even luckier, they'll answer a real quick question. Easy softball questions, nothing controversial, no political topics, no I read this terrible thing about you one time. None of that stuff. It's all softball questions. And it's just kind of fun to see what some of them say. Some of them will give real short answers. Some of them will give some surprising answers. And some of them will give you kind of lengthy answers. I have a couple of those, like this one, kind of a little bit longer right there. So I'm going to do a recap real quick. You'll have some pictures of the athletes. It'll have a recap, a little bit of their career, and I'll let you know what the question and answers are. If you enjoy this, please stick around. Please give me a thumbs up, and I really appreciate it. These do take more hours than I care to admit to put these together. So I hope you enjoy it. Stay tuned.
Orlando Merced played in the MLB for 7 teams from 1990 to 2003. I asked, after 13 seasons in professional baseball, was there one year or team that you can point to as the most fun you had playing ball? He said, first MLB hit and playoff competition. Pat Murray was a left winger in the NHL, played from 1990 to 1998. I asked, what was your favorite tradition at Michigan State? And he said, rookies on the team are forced to sing the fight song at the airport in front of everyone. It's an initiation prank. Zane Smith pitched in the MLB for 5 different teams from 84 to 1996. I asked, what was your favorite sport or team outside of baseball? And he said, fishing. Steve Cummings pitched in the MLB from 89 to 90. I asked, you have 25 unique baseball cards. Do you have a favorite? And he said no with emphasis. Gary Bell pitched for 4 teams from 1958 to 1969 and was a 4-time All-Star. I asked, do you have a favorite memory with Tommy John that you are willing to share? And he said, he was a good teammate, should be in the Hall of Fame. Hal Kolstad pitched for the Boston Red Sox in 1962 and 1963. I asked, how did you end up with 2 jersey numbers in 1962? And he said, that's a good question. It's a little hard to make out exactly what he wrote, but I do believe it says, maybe they thought that he wasn't going to be around long enough. But he fooled them and he started out strong, so they had to give him a permanent number. David Ift was a NASCAR crew chief. I asked, what was your first job and how old were you? He said, 19 years old, Bud Moore Engineering in Spartanburg, South Carolina in racing. Brian Oakers pitched for the Twins in 83 and the Indians in 86. I asked, what was your favorite part about playing professional baseball? And he said, the competitiveness. I also asked, who was your favorite ball player when you were a kid? And he said, Lou Brock. Here's Lou. Greatness. Tommy Houston was a NASCAR driver, ran in 13 races over 4 years. I asked, were there any drivers whom you raced against that you felt were often reckless on the track? And he said no. Juice is a celebrity barber. I asked, which one of your customers do people ask you about the most? He said, thank you for your question. Probably has to be D-Train or Jose Fernandez. Also Pitbull. I also asked, which hairstyle do you wish would come back into fashion? And he said, definitely that high top fade. Here's D-Train. Rest in peace, Jose Fernandez. Pitbull. Ooh, look at that high top fade. That's sharp. John Freese was a quarterback, played for 4 teams from 1990 to 2000, and is in the College Football Hall of Fame. I asked, how did you find out that you were being inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame? And they said they sent me a letter. Carlos Carson was an NFL wide receiver, played for the Chiefs and the Eagles, and went to 2 Pro Bowls. also went to Louisiana State University. I asked, did you have a favorite teammate or coach at LSU? And he said Charles Alexander and Coach Mack. I also asked, do you have a favorite game or memory from Death Valley? He said Rice. Here's Charles and Coach Mack. Daryl Knowles played for 8 teams from 1965 to 1980. Got 2 World Series championship rings and was a 1969 All-Star. I asked, who were you most excited to see or play with at the 1969 All-Star game? And he said, I was in awe of all of them. I also asked, if you could only wear one of your World Series rings, which one would you choose? And he said 1973. Here's that ring from the Oakland A's. Carissa Moore is a professional surfer and an Olympian. I asked, have you ever been scared when surfing? And she said, yes, all of the time. The fear never goes away. It's just about learning to channel it into positive energy and motivation. Jim Marshall played first base and was a manager in the MLB. Played from 58 to 65 and managed from 74 to 79. I asked, have there been any changes in the game since the 50s? Type of play, rule changes that you like or dislike? He said, 70 years in pro baseball, always be changes. Enjoy the game and your life. Jim Plummer was an NFL linebacker, played from 83 to 97. I asked, what was your first job and how old were you? He said, a paper boy, age 10. I also asked, who was the first person that you let try on your Super Bowl ring? And he said his dad. Kalani Jordan is an NXT wrestler. I asked, how did you choose which name to wrestle under? She said, I honestly just wanted a unique and memorable name, one that no one has had before. I also believe I could and do look like a Kalani, haha. But for the last name, I just love Michael Jordan, number 23. Charlie James is an MLB outfielder, played for the St. Louis Cardinals from 60 to 64 and Reds in 65. He also won a World Series in 1964. I asked, do you have a favorite memory from the 64 World Series? He said, we had to win the last game of the year, 1964 regular season, to get to the World Series, and we did. We also beat the Yankees in the World Series that year. Dave Suter is a professional bowler. I asked, how old were you when you joined your first bowling league? And he said 13. I also asked, who encouraged you to pursue bowling professionally? And he said, no one. It was what I wanted. Tom Newberry is an NFL guard. I asked, who were you looking forward to meeting when you were voted to the Pro Bowl? And he said, Randall Cunningham. Here's the great Randall Cunningham. Ken McBride is an MLB pitcher, played for the White Sox from 59 to 60, and the Angels from 61 to 65, and 3-time All-Star. I asked, what did you think about playing 2 All-Star games during the same season? It's a little hard to make out what he wrote, but I believe it says it was a great honor. Tim Morgan is a NASCAR owner. I asked, what was your first job and how old were you? And he said, working in the tire shop at age 13. I also asked, what was your first car? And he said, a 67 Chevrolet Chevy 2. Oh, it's sweet. Al Downing was a pitcher, played for 4 teams from 61 to 77, was an All-Star in 67, won a World Championship in 61, and was the 64 AL strikeout leader. I asked, joining the Yankees in 61 and being a rookie, did you ever feel intimidated being in a clubhouse surrounded by some of the greatest ball players to play the game? To which he responded, I enjoyed the challenge. Lou Klimklock played in the infield, played for 6 teams from 1958 to 1979. He threw right, batted left. And I asked, did you naturally bat left-handed, or is it something that you taught yourself? And he said naturally. He also noted that he followed Stan Musial. And here's Stan the man.
All right, what'd you think? Who was your favorite? We had bowlers. We had an NXT wrestler. We had football players. We had baseball players. Got some vintage baseball players. Always fun to see what the older generation has to say about the game and life. I really enjoy doing these. Sorry I don't do them quite as frequently as I like to. They take a minute. They take a minute to put together. So thank you again for sticking around. I really appreciate it. I hope you'll have a great day. Bye.